Welcome to the first episode of the podcast. This is going to be it's going to be a learning curve for me because I've never done this before. I've spoke on other people's, but interviewing in a podcast is a little bit different. Yeah. So joining us today is Curtis Murray, and I get the pleasure of talking with him. And this is kind of full circle fun for me because I don't know how many years I coached you in soccer, but you came to my first business, which was St. Lawrence Soccer Camps. Yeah. I think I started that up when I was around 15 or 16. And you came for, I think, 2 or 3 of the years, right?
I think so, yeah.
Through most of the summer.
Evan did too, actually, my little brother.
Yep. And I never had Ryan, but that's what I was going to start.
He didn't play soccer. He didn't like soccer.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
So you got 2 parents, 2 brothers, right? Yep. So what kind of dynamic was that like growing up?
Well, I can tell you, looking back at it, we would fight a lot, 3 brothers. I was in the middle, so if I wasn't trying to punch Ryan, it was Evan, and if I wasn't punching Evan, Ryan was beating me up too. So we fought a lot, but looking back at it now, we get along pretty good now. Yeah. So we respect each other. We're pretty close. Even Ryan, he's in Valcartier, Quebec.
Oh yeah.
He's in the military, so he's on base. But for the past probably 4 years, he went to college and then he went to the military. He was in New Brunswick. We didn't talk a whole lot, but now we've kind of reconnected, so it's really good. It's nice. Really good. And Evan, we still fight a little bit, but I'm just kicking him in the butt a little bit, so I need to lay off him a little bit. So
does Ryan kick your butt now?
Well, I sometimes kick his butt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll be like, you going to the gym? You doing this? Come on. Well, what are you doing, man? And but no, he's pretty good too. So
love it. Has that dynamic growing up, do you think, made you tougher in kind of even where you're at in business at the moment and what you're doing?
Yeah. I would say so. It was, I'd say so.
So talk a little bit about, so first, actually, what was your first job that you ever had?
Well, I think it might have been lawn mowing. I mow my neighbor's lawn, nice. $30-$40. It was maybe once or twice a week, or once every 2 weeks, maybe once a week type of thing.
Yeah. That's
what I can really remember. And then I think my brother ran a hot dog cart. He went through Summer Company.
Yes. Yeah.
So right. It was called Fort Town Frank. So he started that up. Everybody really liked it. Everybody supported him. And then he only did it for 1 year. And then afterwards, me and my friend kind of took it over. And so that's what we did for a summer. It was pretty good. We kind of learned the entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
It's hard to say. Say that 3 times. Yeah. It's hard. Yeah. I think we did. Yeah. We learned a lot through that. Pulling the cart out every day, filling up, going to Costco, wholesale club, all that stuff, buying the hot dogs. How much do hot dogs cost? How much do buns cost? How much do ketchup, all the condiments, how much do those cost? And then it's you still have to make a profit, interact with customers and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a good learning curve. I didn't really, really like it, but looking back at it, got me out there. And it wasn't like a McDonald's where you just kind of sit in the back and you're just kind of working there. It's it is you, you are running it. You know what I mean?
That was my first job, was McDonald's. For a year in the kitchen. It was fun because I had a bunch of friends that I worked with, but in terms of the actual job itself, I said this in a meeting the other day, but I think the realization of having somebody else dictate my time and flexibility, as well as how much money I was allowed to make in a year, that drove me nuts. Yeah. So it's cool that you got into the entrepreneurial side of things quicker. So now you're doing what? Now you've moved into a couple different things. So
now I work with Tina. Tina's my mom. Yep. She's been a mortgage broker, mortgage agent, but I say mortgage broker is just better for people to understand. Anyway, I joined her business in, I think, March 2021. So it's coming up on 2 years. I'm licensed. Nice. I did the test. So I am a mortgage agent with Dominion Lending Centers, the mortgage source.
Yep.
So that's kind of my 9 to 5, I would say. And then I do have a couple other projects. Tina and Brent, my parents, we bought in April of last year, we bought the Village Pantry. It's in Spencerville, Ontario.
Cool.
So it's a pretty busy little spot. Tina and Brent really, really like it. I like it too.
Yeah.
Because again, I did customer service and that type of stuff, fast food. I did work at Subway also. That was
nice.
years back.
Okay,
but anyway,
so you know what I'm talking
I kind of
about,
know
the
how to make a
McDonald's.
sub, and exactly.
Okay, good.
So anyway, yeah. So we've been doing that. Tina and Brent love it. They're kind of more looking at it like a retirement plan. I don't think they could sit still. Like they couldn't sit still. They could go on trips and stuff, but when they come back, like they're just gonna be going crazy. Like they got to do something.
Yeah.
And so I think they really, really like it. Mom really, really likes it too. So I'm enjoying it.
Cool.
So yeah, that I have that, and also I do. I have a rental property. It's in Cardinal. So yeah, it's a duplex. I lived in it for a bit, and then I moved out and then rented it. So
how did you generate the capital originally? And for those people who want to, because I mean, we're in an interesting market at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And we're kind of at the top of the real estate market. So maybe investing in something like that isn't the best timing at the moment. But when you did start and you purchased it, what kind of process did you take, knowing that if you're going to take debt on, it's actually going to make income for
money.
you? Yeah,
it's a good question. So like, obviously Tina, she's done this for many years, being a mortgage agent in the industry. She's getting loans for people. She's looking at rental properties. They've done rental properties in the past. Looking at, like, again, Tina has been such a good influence on me in the fact that, like, when I said, I want to invest in real estate, she was like, yeah, let's do it. It's a great idea. So basically how I kind of got started in it, I didn't go to school. So basically right around COVID, March or April of 2020, everything shut down. I worked at Giant Tiger Warehouse. Yep. And so at that point I was working part-time, and then as soon as COVID happened and it was like no more school, I was like, I'm going to go to work, make a lot of money. And like, for me, make a lot of money, because I've never had like a full-time job.
Of course.
And so I like really...
No student debt either.
Yeah, exactly. No student debt, making like $1,300-$1,400 paychecks every 2 weeks. Like, for me, that was fantastic. Yep. Living at home, no expenses, barely paid for groceries, couldn't go out to even eat, couldn't go to restaurants.
Forced you to save.
Barely drank, barely did anything. So literally I'm just saving and investing as well. Basically, this is kind of how I was able to build up enough money. Was I pretty much... If you look at a stock chart, you go back to 2020, it goes like this, and then all of a sudden, like that. I bought pretty well.
Awesome.
Right there. Like,
Sweet.
I started to save. I started to work, and Mom's like, if you're going to work, you're going to be making all this money. You're going to have to save it. So I was like, perfect. I think I saved probably over half for a long time, but I just kept buying into it really, really low. So that was just, it grew Good. Over a span of like, probably I would say a year. I don't know how much of a return, but it grew significantly. Cool. So I was able to build up about enough for a down payment. But I'll say this, I don't really like saying this, because people get a bad idea of it and they're like, I'm going to invest in it too. I did buy Bitcoin. I got lucky in Bitcoin. I bought, I think it was like $3,000 worth when one Bitcoin was 14,000.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then it went up to about 70.
Yep.
And then I sold.
Yep.
So I made a good amount of money from that. Good. And I actually used that towards a down payment.
You got out in time.
On my house. So like, I had enough saved to put a down payment down on the house, but it worked out. I sold it just in time that I made a good amount of money, and that's what I pretty well used. So
good for you. And how many tenants then are currently living in it? Like, what in terms of income, when are you doing it as like renting out to two families kind of thing, or is it individual rooms with kind of shared co-space? Yeah. So it's obviously a duplex, but there's 2 bedrooms on each side. So when I bought the place, there was an existing couple in there. They're in their, I would say 60s, 70s. Great people. Honestly, the best. I couldn't have asked for any better, like, tenants, people. I honestly, like, friends at this point. They're fantastic. Cool. They barely call me. And even when they do, I'll even just go down to Cardinal sometimes just to see how they are. Like, they're fantastic. Awesome. They're obviously on a pension, so I think they get money. I mean, it's guaranteed, right?
and they pay early, which is good. It's been
keep that cash flow.
Yeah, keep that cash flow. So then when I bought the place in I think it was like June of 2021, I had moved a guy in there. He was all right. He was not bad. He was a little slower on the repayment. I gave it to him because he was young, and he happened to be like a friend growing up.
Yep.
So he was all right. He has since moved out, and I've got another old couple in there, and they
Even
are
better.
fantastic as well. They're fantastic. I'm pretty sure they're on like pensions as well.
Yeah.
But they work on the side part time.
Nice. Yeah.
So like there's income coming in from them, guaranteed, and then they just work because they like it. So the one guy actually, he works at the food bank.
Oh yeah.
So
cool.
We know Bonnie Kugler at the food bank in Prescott. So she said, yeah, he's fantastic. He's great. Like
Get the recommendations
exactly.
first,
And
then
if
let them
Bonnie
in.
said it, I took it. You know what?
Perfect.
And it's been great so far.
Awesome.
So
That's
I think
cool.
it might niche in like older couples because
yeah, sure, why not?
they're just and they enjoy to see me. It's like,
Yeah.
Curtis, how's it going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're fantastic. I like it. So
That's
anyway,
cool.
yeah, but it's been really good. Besides that one tenant I had, he was all right. Little slow in the repayment. He was dirty when I had to take it over and
Yeah.
kind of turn it over. But to my fault, I probably could have guessed that would have happened. So I take the blame for it. I didn't lose any money, but it was just pretty gross the way he left it and stuff.
Fair
So
enough.
be a bit more careful. But at that time, I was like, I got to get somebody in here. I just bought this place. I need to get somebody in here.
Yeah.
And so again, to my fault. No, nobody else's fault. It was my fault. Again, didn't really lose any money, but anyway. So,
That's cool.
Yeah, I've got good people in there, hoping they stay pretty long term. And then yeah.
So I'm going to shift back a little bit
Yeah.
on, you mentioned you didn't go to school. Education as a
Yeah.
whole is something I'm very passionate about
Yeah.
at the moment in terms of like where I think the education system is moving towards and kind of away from, there's an aspect of the current education system that needs to stay.
Yeah.
But there's almost a bigger part, I think, that needs to change and shift. So your choice to not go off to school, you finished high school.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
what was...
Sort of. COVID happened. I got my
so you
diploma,
did-
but
yeah,
I didn't really
yeah.
finish.
Okay, so
But,
you finished online. or
Yeah,
whatever.
pretty well.
Got your degree or
Exactly.
whatever you call
Yeah.
it, diploma.
Yeah.
What was the decision and what was the dynamic overall when you kind of, first of all, talked to your parents about not wanting to pursue further education and what were the reasons for yourself and why you didn't?
So basically, yeah, like I said, like COVID kind of happened and like I went to work and so I was making money. It wasn't really about, making a lot of money. I'm not going to go to school. It was just like really kind of like the main portion of it was like I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. My parents weren't forcing me at all.
Yep.
They're like, you do like they went to school, but they didn't really go to school, and what they're doing now is not exactly what they went to school for. So they weren't like, oh, you got to become a doctor. You got to like, they were just like, you know what? You'll kind of figure it out. We're kind of supporting you regardless of your choice. We want you to like, obviously be doing stuff. If you're going to stay home, you got to work full time. Like you've got to work.
Contribute.
Like exactly. You've got to contribute.
Yeah.
Right. So they kind of like, again, they're not doing what they took in school. So they kind of saw that portion of it. But really the main thing was like, I don't know. Maybe other people can tell me. It didn't look like a lot of people were going because of COVID. It was all online. Some kids didn't like that. Some people did.
Yep.
But people weren't really moving away to go to school. So I was like, not really, I don't really know what I want to do. Let me, kind of save, build up a base. And then if I do go to school, I could pretty well pay for it and be kind of debt free.
Yep.
So that's kind of the dynamic of that, I would say. Not getting not forced to go. That's not really a good word, but
Sure.
kind of if you want to go, you can go. And they like set aside money for me to go. So it wasn't like anything like that. I could have gone, but I just,
Did you collect that money and put it into the down payment at all?
No. I did take a course with Algonquin. It's
nice.
It's like a landlord tenant course.
Cool. Wow.
It's like a 4 or 5 month course. I don't know if I got a certificate or what designation I got for it, but it did help. I got like a book and stuff. So I was able to take some money to do that.
Cool.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
That worked pretty well. So,
quite often I have, like when I say quite often, I probably had it 10 to 15 times where parents, they've seen I've gone to university and they have a kid who is very entrepreneurial at a very young age, and some of them quite significantly younger even than you are.
Yeah.
And their parents have come to me basically saying, my kid doesn't want to go to university. Can you speak to them as to why they should go to university? And I usually tell them, you don't want me to talk to them because that's not what I'm going to say. And I did not take my education for granted by any means, but I definitely didn't take it as seriously. And I don't see the way that the current education system is set up, especially university, college, a bit of a different issue, but the piece of paper does not have an ROI positive at the moment, especially the way that today's kind of economics and everything, like everything's just so expensive and crazy. And you've got university students who put, $100,000, $200,000 in debt, and they can't pay it out because of high interest rates. Right. So
that was kind of it. I've listened to some people say, like, honestly, back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, go to college. Now it's like, I've seen kids go to college, and then, well, one of the kind of things was I was working at the warehouse before I started with Tina. And like a lot of those kids like went to school, came back, couldn't find a job. So I'm like, okay, go spend 30 grand, 30, 40 grand on college at just kind of like a regular old college, right? Not even like a big top university, right? Go spend 20 to 40,000 on college and then literally go back to work at a place like the warehouse anyway, making the same amount of money. Like we make the same amount of money. So you're $30,000, $40,000 in debt. I'm debt free, and I've bought a rental property that's making me money. And it's growing my net worth and all this stuff. Like I just thought, if I can, like, it's not completely ruled out for me. Maybe I might take a business course. I think I took college courses, but if I went to school, I would probably want to take a university course. Maybe I probably need to go back and get some credits for it. But so it's not completely ruled out. I'm not like really anti going to school.
No, I'm not.
I just think
either.
that like most kids, and I've seen it a lot. I've talked to people. I'm like, okay, going to university. So what are you gonna do after? Well, I don't really know. I'm just taking a open kind of course. So I'll figure it out later. You're spending university. You're spending 50, 60 grand and you don't know what you want to do. I'm like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me in that sense. Now, if you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer.
Any profession, I still think that's what I'm saying. The current education system, there's a portion of it that has to stay because I wouldn't trust an architect or engineer to come do my house that hasn't taken those courses. But
that makes sense.
I think the larger majority of people, that's probably only 30% of the populations, and that there's more people in entrepreneurial or construction or trades or hands-on things where parents are often trying to force them to go. And I think the one thing that I've often said to those parents is like, look, if you're going to pay in full for them to go out of your own pocket, by all means, that they should go and take it. It's a 4-year vacation, basically. Don't take your education for granted. Still go to class and do all that stuff, but network the heck out of everybody that you can meet. Take what you can from the education. But a lot of people don't learn kind of the academia way, who are, like those kind of thinkers. They're a little bit different than I can't read textbooks, kind of memorize things and then spit it out into a test. That doesn't work for me. So I love learning, but the way the current education system, I'm not an absolute huge fan of. So it's interesting to hear.
Like and like someone's kind of said, like, there's no value in free. So I mean, yes, it does help parents paying for school, but again, maybe kids don't get enough value out of it because mommy and daddy are paying for me. I don't really I'm just gonna go drink every day of the week and go out and party, and then school, I don't really go. Not going to show up to class. It doesn't really, like, you know what I mean? Like, especially that, like, I think people and parents too, like, they need to, like, if you want to go to school, you know what you're going to do. Great. But if you're just like, I'm just going to school just to go to school, I feel like that's when people need to really, and parents need to look at that as well. Like, really, like, where's my money kind of going? Like this kid doesn't. And one of my friends, actually, he's kind of like, his parents kind of he wasn't really doing anything else. He was working for a family business, but his parents said, like, go to school, and he's not really enjoying it. He's like, I wish I would have just stayed back. So anyway, I've kind of influenced him a little bit too. Like we're good friends. So like I've kind of said, making money, investing, all this stuff. So he's like, oh, I wish I would have just stayed back and, made money and invested and bought, real estate and all this stuff. And
he's not, no. He's probably young enough to still start that whole thing again and get going now exactly. if he wanted to too. Yeah. Okay. So another kind of pivot switch. It sounds like so far kind of in your journey, both like work, entrepreneurial side, you haven't had to cross too many failures yet, but your mindset on failure, I ask most people who are in their kind of own entrepreneurial journey, how they perceive failure. And I think it's one thing that often sets apart a lot of entrepreneurs from people who kind of have entrepreneurial tendencies, we'll say. So what's kind of your perspective overall when I say like failure, or if, you fail in a journey, what does that look like to you?
I honestly, like, I've had it pretty easy. I honestly think that I feel like I could fail a bit more. Yeah. And I'll kind of explain on this a little bit. I feel like, if you're not failing, you're not really pushing your limits. You're not really like testing your boundaries and failing, right? If you're at the gym, and even at the gym too, like if you're not testing like your maxes, you're not pushing your hardest and failing, what are you doing, right? You're not growing. You're not getting better. You learn from your mistakes. I know it's all kind of, I don't know, maybe sappy. You've heard this before, but it's true. It's really true. Like if you're not, and again, I've had it pretty easy. I don't pay a lot in rent. I buy my own groceries. I don't have a lot of debt. So I haven't really experienced a lot of like hardships. Even like loss, and in my family, I haven't had a lot of loss. So it's not like I've had to overcome a lot. So I feel like I've still, like, I have experienced some things, like my roof went on my house. So it's like, how the heck am I going to pay for that? Or if it's like, I made a good amount of money. I owe a significant in taxes. Well, how the heck am I going to pay for that? So I just think like I've been able to like figure things out. And honestly, to the whole failure part, I feel like some people would kill to be in a situation that you're in. So if you kind of like, you fail, but you bury your head, like someone would kill to be in that situation that you're in. Someone's just been given some really bad news. A family member has cancer. Their parents are dying. Oh, there was a car crash. You know what I mean? There's children across the world that don't have a lot. And it's like, you're going to fail, and then you're going to put your head in the ground, and you're just going to, no, like, get up, like, keep going, one foot in front of the other, like, grind. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I would treat it. And I do have that mindset. Like, if something happens, like, again, I'm pretty privileged. So, like, I can't really sit here and complain that I've had a tough life. I need to just one foot in front of the other, grind. And my brother's like that. He's had a tough go the past couple weeks, and this is why I really like have grown close to him even more in the past like month or two. He lost his dog. She was 6 months old, and so that was really tough on him. And then he got into a car crash, and so his truck was gone. And it's like he's like every time I'm thinking I'm heading in the right direction, something shitty happens to me. And he wasn't like, bury his head in the sand. I know him. He's tough, that he just starts chipping away at it. He's like, let's do this. Let's grind. Don't bury your head in the sand, and just move forward. Like you can't look in the mirrors just sit and wallow.
You're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
What, in like 5 to 10 years, do you have kind of I don't actually like, in terms of business structure, saying 5 to 10 years is exactly where we're going to be, but do you have a general sense of, in kind of your journey from work, entrepreneurship specifically, of what direction you want to be heading towards?
Like I definitely, think this is what you're saying. I definitely want to stay. I really like the direction I'm heading. With the pantry, with the store, like the mortgages, I and real estate. That's kind of like I would like to buy more rentals. That's something that I'm really interested in. Maybe Airbnbs, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, multi-unit properties, 10 unit apartment buildings, like syndication kind of investments, like get other investors and pool together, buy this 20 unit property, like BRRRR method, which is like buy, reno, refinance, rent, repeat, or whatever.
It's kind of like the rich dad, poor dad.
Yeah, exactly. Method. Yeah. BRRRR strategies, things like that. I like my long-term kind of goal is I'd like to get a rental property a year. It's pretty optimistic.
Wow. I
think I'll probably be on track to buy one this year.
Cool.
And then maybe it'll take me another 2 years after that. But then I've built equity in my properties that I'll probably refinance, take the equity and then invest it into another property, and then that property will grow, and then rinse and repeat kind of thing. So
you want to be in that game,
that
like you enjoy this, like you enjoy the rental side of things and real estate and all that. Okay, so
I think I'll see myself now a mortgage agent. I like it. I know, like, I don't want to go into income too much, but there's income potential there for sure. But I think I don't know. I've thought about this. I've kind of spitballed the idea to Tina, maybe being a realtor as well. That'd be something that would be interesting to me, or even kind of dabble into like the insurance side of things. Kind of be a dual agent. Really be a kind of maybe one-stop shop for clients. People can come to see you, and especially because people will think of you. This is why I like mortgage agent and realtor. Like when people think of buying or selling, who's the person they think of? Me, type of thing. That's what I'm kind of looking at. Really like dominating
the one-stop shop
the
thing
space.
Is important.
Yeah, one-stop shop, and especially investments too. Like you need to live somewhere. Yeah. Like a rent. You need to rent a place. I've got rentals as well. So really dominating the real estate kind of sector. Maybe I'll go into, I don't know. I need to figure this out. If I stay around Brockville or go to Ottawa,
bigger city,
more opportunity. We'll see about that, but that's something that I'm really pushing for now. As far as like a plan, I don't really have a plan in place for that. I'm going to get my realtor's license in 2 years, on March 40th of 2024. Like I don't have anything like that planned, but that's something that I've been thinking about. So we'll see where that goes. But
this is a question I want to start asking kind of everybody. I think it's part of the reason I wanted to start out the podcast in general is I think the definition of what success in today's society has been very skewed to become strictly financial for the most part. But I think there is way more to it. And of course there's financial goals that everybody wants to achieve, right? And have kind of the financial freedom. Overall, how would you define success in... Well, and pretty much in anything. How would you define success? What does success in your life look like?
That's a good question.
To think about it, there's no real right or wrong answer. It's kind of how you view it at the moment, and that probably will change because it's changed for me over the last 10 years.
It's a very good question. What would success look like? Obviously, my goals are a lot financial. I'd like to generate a lot of income through my rental business. I'd like to have the opportunity that I don't have to work, but I work because I enjoy what I'm doing. And I'm sure you're probably the same way. You get to a point where you don't have to work, but you work because you want to. That to me is kind of like the definition of success, but it's also just being happy, healthy, going to the gym. There's one guy, he said, he's a family friend. He was very close. I'm not going to go into detail because he said that not many people actually know this. But he was very close with the owner of a large business in Canada. I'm not going to say which. Everybody would know it. And the owner he said like he was 88 years old. He had back problems. He was kind of sick. He probably could have gone on, but he said to his family when he was kind of going out, he said like, what's the point of having all this money if you have to pay someone to wipe your ass?
Yep, it's true.
So he's like, and that kind of was like, it kind of resonated with me to kind of like prioritize health, longevity, eating well, take my vitamins every day, that type of stuff. Drink a gallon of water each day. The mammoth mug. But anyway, so yeah, that kind of really resonated with me as well. So to kind of summarize, being able to work because you want to, not because you have to pay the bills. Being happy, healthy, having enough time to go to the gym, to be around family. That's kind of
cool.
I would kind of summarize that. I haven't really thought about like what the end goal, success.
I don't think there is an end goal though. Like that's part of what the fun of all this is to me is like, I think the coolest thing about the entrepreneurial journey is that you can take some kind of idea that literally is either it doesn't exist at all or you just like that, industry or whatever. You can run from that idea and build it into something small, big, large, medium, whatever, it doesn't matter. But if entrepreneurs or people who want to start their own business don't actually fall in love with the journey, then I don't think it's actually sustainable. And I don't think that you're going to be happy and successful in doing that. So kind of with what you're saying, that along with one aspect of what I would consider success in my life of what we're currently doing is the ability to be flexible. So kind of like you said, this morning I was able to go to the gym and then I could come into the office whenever, whether that's early or late, or I can leave early or late, depending.
I enjoy that.
So the flexibility part of life and enjoying the journey and process of it for myself is kind of what I see as being success. Of course, there's financial metrics that are attached to that, but I don't think the financial thing is the end all be all, because you get to a financial point, and I've got a couple people in my life, friends, family, and other entrepreneurs I've talked with who basically are like, look, when you make your first million, you just, if that becomes your financial metric, you chase the next million and the next million, and you're never happy because of that. You have to find other definitions of success. Otherwise.
And like when I first started, again, like when I started this whole like money thought process, like learning about money, learning about money in general, I stumbled across something it's called the FIRE movement, something like for early retirement or something. I don't really know the definition of it. It's a FIRE movement is what it's called. Basically, it's a bunch of young people, maybe a bit older than me, that the end goal is to retire early. But what I noticed with all of these people, they penny pinch. It's like they're buying, cans of corn for dinner. And it's like, oh, okay, so I can retire at 35 years old. So what? So you can eat corn. And so you're not going out to a nice restaurant. So you can't, buying family members gifts, doing things you actually really enjoy. I was like, that was the goal for me. Retire early. And then I just kind of thought like, I don't go out to eat. It's like I've gone out to eat once a week to Subway to grab a sub, and I feel bad. It's like, what's the point of having money if you can't like do the things you like enjoy? Now there's some boundaries to that. Like you can't go out to Mexico every week and be like, oh, I enjoy that. You know what I mean? But to some extent, like what's the point? Like these guys, like what's the point in eating corn and stuff like that? It's not what I want to. I would rather work, have good kind of balance, work really hard when I'm working, and then come back, go to the gym, enjoy my kind of free time. And then
there is definitely a time period where I think I'm just looking at kind of it's the financial independence, retire early. There's a portion of time. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk? One of the first videos I watched with him had that kind of, he talked about motivational Monday thing, but then part of it was about basically eating crow for like, a couple years in order to eat caviar for the rest of your life. And it doesn't mean that exactly, but there's definitely, and you kind of had it already. You talked about it. You have to.
I did do that for like a year and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I did do that. Now I could probably do it a bit more. Eat crow.
Everyone can.
Just kind of, yeah, exactly. I mean, but it was to the point where, like, again, if I went out to eat twice a week because I didn't meal prep or something, or I didn't make my lunches for the week, it was like, oh, I feel bad. But it's like my kind of thought process on that is like, I still put money away every 2 weeks, every paycheck.
Perfect.
And my RSP, I maxed.
You filled your TFSA?
I maxed my TFSA out last year, but again, I'm saving, like, I would say over half my money in those two are RRSP, TFSA, and then I also have insurance. I have insurance like for my property as well. Like I have personal life and disability. Like I have a rental property. At this point, I'm doing everything kind of that I should be doing. So if I have a little bit extra, I enjoy it. Yeah. Go out for breakfast or something.
For sure.
It's just something, like just penny pinching. Yeah, I kind of got over it. A little bit. Now, at the start, you have to.
You got to grind at the beginning.
Especially if you're paying rent and you have kids and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's why you starting at this age is
exactly.
You're already ahead.
I don't really have to worry about it. How old are you right now? 21.
20. Oh,
I just turned 21 in January.
You're by far ahead of where I was because I didn't start I started businesses when I was like
that's true.
15, 16, but those all went right to school.
Yeah.
And that was fine.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't start this business until 23. Yeah. So you're still 2 years ahead of me.
How old are you now?
28.
Wow, really?
I know, I'm pushing 30. It's kind of crazy.
Holy!
Yeah, man, it's wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. I'll be 29 in October.
Oh my God. Like we've known you.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, because you're just like next door to grandma's house.
Yeah, that's right.
Like going over swimming in like the church and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, man, pushing 30.
That's insane.
It is pretty crazy. Yeah. But I've always said too, I think 20s are for you testing out like a million things. And so I've got a couple other little like small businesses, but nothing that's like of super importance. This company is my main focus. Goal, but right now it's an opportunity to test things, fail fast, learn from them. And then I'm getting to talk to some people that are in industries that I never would have expected to and learning from their kind of journeys. And I don't think any big move will be made until I'm in my 30s and 40s anyways. So 20s for what you're doing right now. Yeah. Even the fact that you said you have your TFSA already maxed, man, most 20-year-olds don't even know what a TFSA is in Canada.
I don't have it yet. Last year, what I did is I had just a bunch of money. So I just put a big old lump sum in there, like 3,000 or 4,000. And the max I could do was like 6,500.
Yep.
And that wasn't the way that I should have done it, especially because the market, like I bought pretty high and then the market fiddled out a little bit, and then it was like, oh, I'm down a bunch of money. But my RRSP, I was doing all right because I kind of kept buying it. So I was more affected in my TFSA because I just put a whole lump sum. So now,
but if you leave it, it's gonna go back.
Yeah,
you just got to leave it really long term.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it. Especially it's kind of gone up a little bit. The past like month or two as well. So again, it's in the long term. I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, the approach I'm kind of taking with my TFSA now is like kind of dollar cost averaging it. I take like, I don't know how much every 2 weeks, but instead of making a big old lump sum, just kind of dollar cost averaging. So I've planned it out that I'll max it out towards the end of the year.
Awesome.
It's kind of a better approach for me, but anyway, I kind of like the idea of like maxing out my TFSA when it was like April or May. It was like, oh, I've already maxed it out, you know what I mean? But I think it's probably a better option to, especially because what I'm buying is the S&P 500. So it grows at like 8 to 12%. So it's kind of like you kind of got to buy into it and let it grow.
Over time is averaging, I think it's 16.7%.
Oh, really?
And then the last 3 years has been 20 to 25, which is insane. But the average is almost 16% in the S&P. Of course, it's going to fluctuate year to year. So people who are withdrawing and inserting quickly aren't going to see those advantages. But long term, it's a great thing to invest in.
If you if you look up a compound interest calculator and you type in, say 250 biweekly, it grows at even like 8 to 10%, right? And you let it compound yearly, and you put it like, say this was I'm going to loop right back around, right? If this loop right back around to why I kind of didn't go to school. I opened up this compound interest calculator, typed in here, look up compound interest calculator. It should be Get Smarter About Money. I looked at this, and there's a couple books I've read. One is The Richest Man in Babylon and The Wealthy Barber as well. They kind of touch on the same principle. It's saving 10% of your income, putting it away, right? So I thought at 18 years old, right? So if you put in, say for example, I made pretty well minimum wage.
Sure.
$32,000 a year, right? That's pretty well minimum wage, okay? And at minus 10%, that's $3,200. So then I go $3,200 divided by, let's just say 26, I think it is. Oh, $3,100 divided by 26. No, let's just do monthly. Okay, wait a minute. So $3,200 divided by 12. That's $266 a month. So type in initial investment of just do 266, and then go regular edition bi-weekly. And then go 266, and then go interest rate. Well, let's do 10% because
I would say you'd be pretty lucky to get 10% on average across your whole portfolio. But even again, if it's 8%.
Put 8%.
Yeah,
put 8%, especially if you're going in the S&P. So go month or go yearly. And then say I was 18 at the time, right? So 65, that's about the time that people retire, right?
Sure.
So 65, and then I go minus 18. So I have 47 years, right, to let it grow.
It's a big number. If you invest small to start at a young age, it is definitely the most effective.
You don't need a lot of money. You need time.
Exactly.
Let compound grow. Like that number right there is $3,255,414.85.
And that's putting
bare minimum,
but also, like you're putting that additional money in though bi-weekly, right? So
monthly.
Because then you have things like DRIP, which basically your dividend returns are going to go.
I guess this should be monthly.
Sure.
Sorry, that's my apologies.
Even then, it's still going to be
1.5. Sorry, guys. Either way, right? That's still, I would say now,
from
inflation, what's it's going to be in 47 years? Like maybe that's not going to be like a significant.
But that's bare minimum.
But that's bare minimum numbers.
Exactly.
Imagine like if you made 60, 70,000 a year, 80,000 a year, right? And you put 10%.
Double it.
Like I kind of looked at that and said, like, I could work now. Again, guys, like I'm not trying to say don't go to school at all. Again, if you know what you want to do, you go and do it. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. But like I looked at that and said I could work at the warehouse
and still retire
with more than I would say 90% of people. So that's the way I looked at it.
I think there's only 1 million millionaires in Canada currently, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that much, especially because in today's world, 1 million actually doesn't get you all that far.
Get you a paper box in Toronto. So
exactly.
It doesn't get you much. And that's probably where most of them are. And it's probably like, I would say equity in their houses is what pushes them over above the millionaire kind of category. Like people have $500,000, like their house is paid off and it's worth 600, 700,000. Okay. Yeah. They're millionaires. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, they didn't have the house anyway, but so
sure.
Exactly. So that's kind of one reason as well, looping it back around, is I looked at that and it's not about how much money you have. And I tell this to my friends. I tell this to people that kind of come to me because they've seen what I've done. They say, what do you recommend? I say, honestly, start with an RSP, put 10% of your income away, especially if you're working. I say this to my little brother, like, just keep putting it away, let compound interest do the magic. And it's like bare minimum numbers. And that's what it looks like. It's not about, I don't have any money to invest. It's like, even if you put $50 in a week or a month, it's like, I don't know, 700, 800,000, still significant.
It's a lot of money.
right? Compared to, I won't have you run the numbers. I need to, but if you started at like 30,
yeah, that's my problem is we're only
34,
just starting to
exactly.
invest, which means in order to get to that same amount, we now need to put larger amounts of money in up front, which is fine. And that's probably something we will do. But because we've been building the business for 5 years, every dollar has gone back into growing it to where it is now, and now hiring people and all that kind of stuff too. But long term, I think it's going to be something that, like you said, I mean, when I put that money in, we won't touch it until we're in our 60s probably. Yeah. But that's cool. Yeah. I'm going to see if there's, I just can't remember.
And like, I said to my older brother, I kind of showed him that. And I said, Ryan, if you start, I said, I'm doing this right now. If you start doing the same thing, right? He's 3 years behind me. I said, like, Ryan, you'll make like $250,000 less than me. And I think I even made, I'm not quite sure. He was putting more money in, but I started earlier. So it grew a lot more. I was like, Ryan, you're making $250,000 when you retire, less than me, bud. And he's like, oh. And I honestly think that maybe got him like
get
going
that competitive
on it.
Brother spirit
so
again.
Anyway, that turned him on, and
awesome.
He's firing now, but he does, invest in RSP and TSA as well. So anyway, but yeah, so that's kind of, I wouldn't run the numbers now. I'd have to kind of go back, and especially since we're live here, but anyway.
Cool.
So
do you have any like platform things, something you want to share about what's going on in your life? And the cameras are yours. I have no idea if anyone's ever even going to watch this or not, but to anybody who's out there, it's most likely going to be local. What's your shout out?
So I currently just have a personal Instagram, Kurt Murray 02 _ that's kind of that. One thing I really would like to do, and we were talking about this before we kind of went on air here, making short form content. I really think, especially like I have been able to accomplish like a good amount. I'm not going to rest on my laurels, but I've accomplished a good amount at a young age. So I feel like I could be of value to people to provide good content. So I'd like to maybe do something similar to this, maybe podcast, we'll see. But really, I would like to start my own Instagram page and do like short form content and have like it edited and stuff, something similar. I feel like
might need to talk.
Like I feel like I really like, I was saying before, I really like the short form content. Like you could watch, like people sometimes wouldn't watch. It depends on your kind of demographic, but some people, young people, the attention spans have gone. So like people wouldn't watch long form 30-minute YouTube videos or podcasts, but you can take this podcast, chop it up, and then make 15 videos out of it, have that posted you could have 2 or 3 weeks, a month worth of content to post. It's easy to digest, especially if you're posting like like kind of like squares, right? With a lot of reading on them. Oh, this is what you should be doing. People see it, scroll over it because it's too much reading, right? But if you can watch a 15-minute video or 15-second video, people would watch 10, 15, 20 minutes of short form videos.
TikTok's made.
Yeah, exactly. TikTok,
so well.
Reels. Yep. Even like Snapchat has kind of like a system like that.
Sure.
YouTube. Like they all kind of have their own kind of
YouTube Shorts now. Exactly. You got YouTube. I think it's incredible how many. I think businesses, even locally, are leaving a lot on the table at the moment by not creating content. And of course, that's my industry. So of course, I'm going to say that. But I think even if I wasn't in this industry, unbiasedly, whether we're involved or not, businesses need to be making so much more content than they are. We think that most companies need to think of themselves as a media company like us first. And then also be obviously operating and doing their business. But the attention is out there, and you can create a lot bigger of a community if you create enough content.
Exactly. And like I was reading Gary Vee's book. It's basically a book on questions. People ask him and then he put it in a book.
Oh yeah. Which one is it? Job, right hook? No, not crushing it.
Something Ask Gary Vee. It's just called Ask Gary Vee. Anyway, so like Gary Vee talks about it, Grant Cardone, Ryan Pineda, they all talking about like building a brand.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to sell things and it's to get brand recognition as a person. People see you, like it's just easier to sell something when people know where you are, what you're about. You build trust.
Yeah.
And then I think you can obviously like kind of maybe you could sell ads or something. There's obviously other income streams that you could derive from that as well.
Yep.
So that's kind of like what my focus has been making. I think I'm going to make an Instagram page and then start doing the short form content, building a brand, just kind of revolving around real estate. I feel like, again, I could provide good insights for people. Even if I help one or two people, you know what I mean? It's worth it. So yeah, I would say my personal Instagram, you guys can follow me there if you want.
Cool. We'll make sure to put it up on screen for the visual stuff, and then for everything else, say it again one more time.
Kurt Murray 02.
And then
so
underscore?
That's just underscore, yeah.
Okay.
It'd probably come up without it, but anyway. Yeah, that's pretty well. I'm trying to work on more building a brand. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and actually that's funny you say that, because one of the things I hear quite often that's very interesting. So brand and community obviously is more important than kind of I think it ever has been. Brand has always been extremely important. The Coca-Cola brand and how they built that company was around brand.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is where audio is going right now with, Siri, Google Home, Alexa, all this stuff, right? One of the things I heard on another podcast was talking about how, if you order cookies on Alexa, then you have to say, order me Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
Because if you don't build a community as Chips Ahoy and the brand, right, they're going to say, order me cookies, and Oreo is going to be on the back end paying Amazon $1 billion a year to be the send me cookies company. So if you don't build community and brand for your business over the next, it's already happening, but over the next like 5 years, especially, then I think it's going to, everybody sees that as large scale, but it's going to come down locally, just like everything has. People have ignored social media for the longest time. Yeah. And now it's finally trickled down to the local part, right? So that same thing, even though it's happening on a large scale, people around here are going to start going, who's the best bakery in Brockville? Yeah. And if your name doesn't pop up on that brand recognition thing, then you are in big trouble, in my opinion. Yeah. Cool.
Obscurity. Yep. I was obscure kind of at the start, just kind of silently grinding. And then I've kind of reshifted my kind of thought process to like, I can't be, if I want to achieve the things that I want to achieve, I can't be a nobody. I can't have no brand, can't have, you know what I mean? I've got to build a brand. For sure. And I hate sticking my nose, like I don't like doing this type of stuff, to be honest with you. It scares me to do it, but again, part of the reason I do this is to build, a brand, be kind of like a voice to people. People can listen to me. And again, if one or two people get good value out of this, maybe what I'm saying to 90% of people is hogwash. Maybe there's 10% that actually really enjoy it. So
yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's cool, man. Yeah. Awesome. Well, nice catching up. Thanks for joining on this episode.
We'll have to catch up more after this as well.
For sure.
Like I want to ask you about soccer and all that, but we'll do that after.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining on this episode, and then we'll maybe have you back on at some other point in a couple years and see where you're at.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Awesome.
Cool.